B02. Hi guys, it's Will from Magic the Friendly Tavern, and today we're going to be playing Best of 3 in Explorer with my Rock deck. To explain what a Rock deck is it is a mid-range deck. That means it's halfway between aggro and control, so it can kind of do both. But only one side kind of comes up versus the other. Sometimes you got to get a fluid mix. But we can also push more controlling cards into it from the sideboard to make it even more controlling, or push more aggro cards out of the sideboard into it to make it more aggro. So what are we doing here? Well, the game plan is to put out an extremely large, fat creature that is hard to deal with and make it stick and attack our opponent to death with it. One or two of those out there, and we have a pretty fast clock. All of our creatures are larger than what they cost, minus Lana Elves, and we'll go through that. So we have Lana Elves here, and what this does is it allows us to play a turn 1 drop that gives us green. Now, we have a lot of double green at the 2-drop slot, and we have some double green at the 3-drop slot, and a little bit at the 4-drop slot. So double green is really important to us, but we are mainly a black deck. So to balance that out, we're using Lana Elves. So if we stick a forest, play a Lana Elves, play another land, we can still hit a turn 3 or turn 2 Barkhide Troll or Werewolf Pack Leader. These are 2 mana 3/3s. This is a 2 mana 2/2, but it comes into play with a +1/+1 counter, making it a 2 mana 3/3. I can remove the +1/+1 counter from the Barkhide Troll, and it gains hexproof until end of turn, so it's hard to kill. With Pack Leader is if you get this out there and a Barkhide Troll or any of your other large creatures, you're now doing 6 damage all together with your force, and that allows you to draw a card with its Pack Tactics ability. You can also pay 4, and until end of turn, it becomes a 5/3 trample. So you can make it larger. It comes up from time to time. Back to our 1-drop. So we have proactive removal and duress and Thoughtseize. So we proactively remove spells from their hand that might be problematic to our game plan, or to shut down their next play, or any other thing that might annoy us. I mean, we get our pick of the litter with Thoughtseize, and we get a good non-creature, non-land spell from duress. These keep us proactively in the game. Then we have reactive removal like Bloodchief's Thirst, which destroys target creature or planeswalker with 2 mana value or less, unless it's kicked, and then it just destroys the creature or planeswalker. This is great for early removal that scales into the late game. Our other removal includes 4 Infernal Grasp, which destroys the target creature, but we lose 2 life. We're not worried about our resources. We're not worried about our life total. We're not worried about our cards in hand. We're not worried about having a whole bunch of lands in play. We're not worried about going wide and having a whole bunch of creatures in play. We can minimize and run off just a few permanents and be fine. And just have a few cards in hand to be fine. The reason is because all of our creatures are overcosted. They're overperforming at the level of mana you're paying for them. And our removal is so good. On top of Infernal Grasp, we also have Assassin's Trophy, which destroys target permanent. Doesn't matter what type it is, even a land. They get to search their library for a basic land card and put it in play tap, or put it on the battlefield. It doesn't even come into play tap. But that's a good trade-off. We're fine with that. To come back from the back foot of the game, we have Meathook Massacre, which rasps the board. And if we have a large creature out and they have a whole bunch of little blockers, we can get them out of the way with this. It also stays in play and gives us more value. So that's fine. Another 2-drop we have is Tainted Adversary. He's a 2 mana 2/3 Death Touch. That's already larger than the stat line usually is. And we can pay 3 into him when he comes into play as many times as we want, and he gets a +1/+1 counter for each time we pay the 3. And he puts 2/2 black zombies with decay into play. So for 5 mana, this can come out as 6 power and toughness, or 6 power and 7 in toughness with Death Touch on one creature. That's pretty decent. So it does allow us to kind of go wide when we need to go wide. It also just puts out a ton of damage. It's also really good in the early game to stabilize with. Moving on. We have one Blood Pact in the deck. Yeah, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. We want to draw them cards. Sometimes we need to get out of top deck mode and draw some cards. So this card is perfect for that. I wish there were a Painful Truce. We don't have that in our format right now. If I had a Painful Truce, I would trade it out for this Blood Pact in a heartbeat. And I would probably even run lands to facilitate the 3 colors of it. Because the rock decks can go easily from green-black to Abzan colors, or green-black and white. There is definitely a bridge there. Here's our biggest beater. This is our Rotting Regisaur. This is 3 mana for 7/6. This is ridiculous. But at the beginning of our upkeep, we got to discard a card. So there is a giant downside. But again, like I said, even if we go no cards in hand, we'll be fine. We top deck well because we don't run as many lands in our deck. And pretty much everything is relevant. The next creature we have is Guruk's Harbinger. It's 3 mana for 4/3, so it's overcosted. And it has protection from, or hexproof from black, which is fine. It's hard to kill. But when it connects with a player, we reveal the top 4 cards of our library, and we get to pick a creature card from it and put it in our hand. Now, there's other text on the card, but that's pretty much what it does. So it can draw us cards too. So that's great. Really good. It's on the chopping block for something better, but for right now, it's fine. The next beater we have is Bloodveil Vile Purveyor, which is 4 mana for a 5/6 flying trample. Has 2 keywords for 4 mana and a 5/6 body, and it's great. That's evasion, flying. Whenever our opponent casts a spell, they get a blood token, which they can discard a card and sacrifice it to draw a card. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy on their side, but they can't do it. It does give them value. But also, when the Purveyor attacks, it gets +1/+0 until the end of turn for each blood token the defending player controls. So the more greedy they get with their blood tokens, the more damage we do with them. So there is a trade-off. After the Purveyor, we have Spawn of Mayhem. Spawn of Mayhem is 4/4/4/4. But if we damage our opponent, we can cast it for a spectacle cost, making it a 3 mana 4/4, putting it down here. Now, the next thing this does is, at the beginning of your upkeep, Spawn of Mayhem deals 1 damage to each player. So it's a clock on our opponents. If we have our opponents down at 3 or 4 life, we can just burn them out with this. Then if we have 10 or less life, we put a +1/+1 counter on Spawn of Mayhem. So it can get larger if we're the ones behind. So, decent card. Our next creature is Questing Beast. It's 4/4/4/4. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. If that's not enough, it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Combat damage will be dealt by creatures I control, can't be prevented. And whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to our Planeswalker that opponent controls too. This is a house. This is a beating. It's also there. It also helps control Planeswalkers. It's great. Getting in with it's fine. The haste is great. Death Touch makes it relevant. Good creature. Then we're going to move on to our 5th drop creature, which is Doom Whisperer. It's a 5 mana 6/6 flying trample. We can pay 2 life to surveil 2, which is look at the top 2 cards of our library, put them in our graveyard, or put them back on top of our library in any order. So we can kind of half draw a card with it. So it's more card advantage. But it's also a flying 5 mana trample 6/6 beater, which is great. Exactly what our deck is looking for. Also in the list, we have a Sorin the Mirthless, mainly because it +1s to draw us a card. We reveal it and then lose life equal to it and then put it in our hand. We don't even have to reveal it if we're that low on life. We can still +1 him without hurting ourselves. But he also -2s to create a 2/3 black vampire token creature with flying and lifelink, which can help us stabilize. And then for 7, he can deal 13 damage to a target, and then we gain 13 life. I've actually had it come up before. My opponent was at 11, and I do believe I had Sorin to ultimate the next turn, and they scooped. Then the next Planeswalker we have is Raska, Gugari Queen. She has 4 mana for 4 loyalty. We can sack another permanent, and if we do, we gain 1 life and draw a card. If we flood out on lands, or when these Llanowar Elves become irrelevant, we can cash them in for cards. That's what we do. We cash them in for cards. If not, we just uptick Raska, which is fine. We're trying to get to that emblem where we can deal combat damage with 1 creature and they lose the game. That can become relevant quickly. But the second ability is where the bread and butter is. Destroy target land permanent with mana value 3 or less. We just need more removal, and this ticks all the boxes. Moving on to our lands, we have 1 Castle Lockway, which enters the battlefield unless we control tapped unless we control a swamp. Adds black, or we can pay 3 black and tap it to draw a card, then lose life equal to the number of cards in our hand. If we're completely out of cards in our hand, this is 3 mana draw a card every turn. So that's drawing 2 cards a turn is what we want. Then we have 2 Hive of the Eye Tyrants. You pay 4 mana for these, and they become 3/3 black creatures that exile cards from the graveyard. That is relevant, actually. But these also dodge sorcery speed wraths and removal, and really get in good on control decks. Opponents don't always see these up and coming and make mistakes and don't play around them. Man lands are great. I recommend running a man land of any type in any deck you run if you can run a man land in it. If there's a man land you can run, try it in your deck. See how it works. It's just a free slot. It's 2 slots being taken up by it's 1 slot occupied by 2 cards, which is really good. You're packing a lot of value into that 1 slot, especially a land slot, because lands usually don't do anything. After that, we run 4 swamps. Then we run a Takenuma Abandoned Mire. We can channel it for 4, which discard it. Mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker card from our graveyard to our hand, just in case we gotta get something back. Let's just get back into the game with something. A planeswalker or a creature comes up from time to time. Then we have a Boseiju who endures. You can channel it for 2, discard it. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land your opponent controls. That player may search your library for a land card with a basic land type and put it on the battlefield. Then shuffle. So this hits 3 different types of permanents, and it's in a land slot. So another good spell. I would recommend running this in any green deck that you can run it in. Multiple copies even. We have 7 forests, and then we have 3 of the pathways. The pathways are green on one side and black on the other. You choose which side comes in, and it stays that for the rest of the match. But it color fixes. You get to pick which color you use. So there you go. And then we have 1 Overgrown Tomb, which is a swamp forest, so it produces black and green. Now it'll enter the battlefield untapped if we pay 2 life, or we can have it enter battlefield tapped. Either way, it's good to go. Well, that's what our deck looks like, so let's do a match. Oh, I didn't go over the sideboard. This is going to be a best of 3, so we're going to have to go over the sideboard. In the sideboard, I have 2 extra duress to up our count from 6 to 8 targeted discard. That's really helpful against combo. It's really helpful against some control shells. When in doubt, just go maximum hand disruption. Tameo Safekeeping. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This is also good against control decks, especially balls to the wall controls decks that just do not like creatures. This allows us to keep our threats safe. We have a Deadly Dispute, which we can side in again against heavy removal just to get some type of value out of our creatures. This is also good for pushing against control. Doomblades against aggro matchups in case we need more removal. Dreadhorn Invasion is also a hedge against control. It allows us to keep a threat in play that's hard to remove, and it creates a 1/1 zombie each turn. Well, it amasses. It puts a +1/+1 counter on a 0/0 zombie we control, and amasses each time onto that zombie. If that zombie dies, then it'll start over and make another 0/0, and then amass tokens onto it. We lose life for it, but if the zombie token we control has power 6 or greater, it gains lifelink till end of turn, so it can get us back in the game. Again, just against control, just to give us something that does something every turn, and that we don't have to reinvest in and put back on the board. So counter spells. It gets around counter spells, hopefully. Then we have an Inscription of Abundance. It's 2 mana. We can choose 1, or we can kick it for 5 and choose any number instead. So we can either get to put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures they control. Our target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. We really want this for the fight ability and the +2/+2 counters, but gaining the life is okay. We can do that too. Then I have a demonic embrace in here. This is an enchantment. And you put it on a creature. This is for non-interactive decks, like a combo deck or something that's not looking to blow up our creatures, but it's looking to do something else and hinky. Well, this can make our giant beater into an even bigger giant beater. And then we can get this back to make one of our little beaters, like Alana Wells, into an alright beater. And then make another beater into a giant beater and increase our clock. That's what it's in here for. It's for non-active deck, non-reactive decks. Then we have 3 Murderous Rider. These are both creatures for the control matchup to put in more creatures to the hedge against removal. And they are removal themselves, especially against Planeswalkers if we're running into a lot of Planeswalkers. Good card. Then we have Rex Sages against any artifact or enchantment based decks to come in to shore up our artifact and enchantment matchups. They just come into play, destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's a 2/1. So good enough there. It still attacks. And then we have 1 copy of Belkamax Mastery, which you pay 4 to exile target creature or planeswalker. The exile is what we want it for, in case we run into something indestructible like Drosky, or a planeswalker that's just hard to deal with like Ugin. We can exile it. We can actually pay 2 to display this. Pay 2 to cast this spell instead of 4, but our opponent draws a card. We make that determination on board state and what's going on and how badly we need to remove that permanent. But it's in there for problematic, indestructible creatures. That's my sideboard. That's the deck tech. Next, we're going to move to the matches. Best of 3. Explore. Explorer Rock is chosen. We are good to go. Let's find an opponent and have 3 matches. Alright, here we go. My opponent goes first. We have 3 lands. We can cast all of our spells. We're good to go on this hand. Opponent plays a red green land into a Gilded Goose. Yeah, I could go Lana Warrels and a Barkhide Troll into Spawn of Mayhem, but that Gilded Goose is ramping them just as much as this Lana Warrels is going to ramp us. And I got a 1-minute kill spell right here that's just going to take care of that goose problem. That goose is a little bit too much value. Now, I've faced goose decks before. They all kind of do different things, but we'll see what this deck does. Prosperous Innkeeper, okay. Got you. Now we're going to play a Forest. Now we're going to play Alana Wells. Now, if you notice, we're actually kind of behind now. But that's okay, because our big beaters will put us back ahead. Next turn, we're going to Windmill Slam a Spawn of Mayhem. Deadly Dispute, that's fine. I don't care if you dirtle. I do not care. Of course, with the treasures up, they do have... Oh, there's the Oni Cult Amble. This is a kill condition in this deck. Okay. So, we need to play the Swamp. Mayhem... they're going to kind of run us down on the clock too, and they've already got this out here, and I can't deal with it at this point. I'm going to go ahead and play the Blood Vial Purveyor. It's larger, and it doesn't deal me 1 damage each turn. We can get the Spawn of Mayhem out later. We're looking pretty alright here. Now, after I play this 4th land, I don't want to see another land the rest of the game. I want to draw all nothing but gas. And they popped one of their artifacts using the Oni Cult Anvil to Fatal Push my Purveyor. And play a Trail of Crumbs, make another food token. And they play a Cauldron Familiar. Ugh. Get in for a little bit of damage. Neat. And what we're going to do is we're going to Meat Hook Massacre. For 1. We're going to destroy his Cauldron Familiar, his 1/1 Construct, and his Prosperous Innkeeper. My Lana Wells is going to go away, but we're going to put down a Barkhide Troll. We're going to 2 mana 3/3. Yeah, sacrifice it, that's fine. The Meat Hook Massacre is also going to make his ping damage irrelevant against us. And whenever he sacks a creature, it's also going to... Ooh, man, that is for spectacle. But his ping damage is going to be negligible because every time he sacks a creature, I think we gain a life. Yes. So that is not going to help him in the least bit. Our Meat Hook Massacre is going to keep him from killing us outright with his attrition. There's a Mayhem Devil. We want to get that off the field as soon as possible. That's just another outlet for damage for him. And it looks like I kind of don't want to play the Bloodline Purveyors because it gives him artifacts to sacrifice to his Oni station. So we're not going to do that anymore. He'll block Cauldron Familiar on Barkhide Troll and we won't get through. But that's fine. Maybe he takes it. He is at 23. I doubt it was a Cauldron Familiar there, though. He needs a food token to bring it back, right? Yes. Can you make food tokens? He's taking it, which will give a spectacle on the Mayhem. Spawn of Mayhem. I think we're just going to go ahead and drop this. Yeah, I'll pay it for its cheaper cost. It didn't matter that we're leaving up 1 mana. It didn't matter, really, but... Feels nice to get the discount. Oh, yeah, we do. We leave up the removal of a +1/+1 counter on the Barkhide Troll. I forgot about that to give it X-proof, just in case. They did lose dispute. Yes. Okay. Okay. Still need to do 1 damage to it to kill it. Yeah, now we drop it to a 2/2. Oh, it dies because we moved the counter off of it. That's hilarious. Before it gains the X-proof. I didn't know that interaction would happen. I was darned if I do, darned if I don't. So that one didn't really matter. They also dealt with our Spawn of Mayhem. They're about to get in for 4. We are kind of on the back foot on this one, actually. There's some removal. Now, how do we want to do this? I say kill the Mayhem Devil, drop in life, play the one or else, and set it the Tainted Adversary so we can kick the Tainted Adversary next turn and have it come in with additional power and zombies. That seems like a good plan. And then we see a Corvold, which is nasty. As a 5/5 dragon we are now facing down. Thoughtseize is no good here. Excellent. Got his own Meat and Cook Massacre. Well, that wipes out my team. He's going to attack for 3. We're going to lose a whole bunch of life. We're going to gain a whole bunch of life. Yeah, all in all, I really didn't do much. He has to eat a land to attack with his dragon, which hits me for 2. But now it's 6/6. We draw a land. Land is no help. Thoughtseize is no help. That dragon's going to kill us in 2 turns. I'm going to concede here and go to the next game. We are not going to win this. Oh, yeah. What do we want against this particular deck? We actually do not want these Purveyors. We do want Rex Sages. I'm trying to think if we want anything else. Maybe some safekeeping. We'll cut the duress. Run it back like that. I like to play first. Oh, this hand is awful. Oh, better. Put Alana Worlds back. They're terrible in multiples. Unless we're sacking them. Forest, Alana Worlds, go. There is the Gilded Goose. Swamp. Rotting Redosaur. Yes, Trella comes. They got another food token. We're going to discard this Infernal Grass. We have an Assassin's Trophy, and we want to play that other land. But we have double green. Yeah, I should put that as double black. Oh my goodness, I messed up. Oh, that should came down as black. Oh, that did not come back to haunt me. But it was a misclick. I apologize for that. You want to take 7? Alright. Take it. We're going to end turn. All shields up. Yep. Cauldron Familiar goes down. It's an infinite blocker for a Rotting Regisaur. It's really what we do not want to see. So, there's an Innkeeper. So, we're going to untap Upkeep. Now we're going to have to discard one of these 2 cards, and we really don't want to discard either one. We'll hold on to Assassin's Trophy for one more turn. Draw a land, so that allows us to hold on to it for another turn. And block with the... Yep. Sure enough. A lot of problems rock decks run into is being drawn out by tokens that block with. So in most rock decks, I run some type of anti-token strategy or some type of trample to get over that. I just don't have much in this deck at this point. I do have some flyers, but as you can see, that's neither here nor there. But my opponents aren't really doing much. There's the Mayhem Devil. We'll resolve it. And then we'll immediately kill it. Now he's out of food tokens. We killed 2 of his creatures. I'm going to go ahead and play this other Llanowar Elves. Might as well. Got his Cauldron Familiar back. Yep. I want to take a peek at his hand. He's got 2 unknowns over there in a land. That's fine. We'll let you have the Deadly Dispute. I know he's card advantage, but I really don't want you to get that other Trail of Chromes and make another food token and bring that cat back again. Oh, the cat needs to stay dead. And it does not need to keep coming back. Alright. Oh yeah, the goose can make food. Of course. And it takes some resources. Now he's got the witch's oven. Now he's got the cat oven combo. We'll never get through. Yep. We draw. You know, it's better than one scary dinosaur. How about two scary dinosaurs? Maybe we'll just get him in there 13 turns with his Llanowar while he's defending off these two rotting Regisaurs. But we'll have to wait till that happens to see. Now we're definitely happy to be in top deck mode, missing the discard from our rotting Regisaurs and just taking whatever comes to us. If it's another beater, great. Yep. Cat's coming back. I mean, I said a Rex Sage and take out that witch's oven. Or that witch's oven. Well, there goes that plan if he's got duplicate. And with two witch's oven and two cats, he can infinitely block both of my Regisaurs. Okay. Just double checking. Because all we're going to do is swing team. And then play out our nice werewolf pack leader here. Just building pressure, building pressure. I must commend my opponent for being such a fast player, especially with so many triggers and things to handle in his deck. This is not, this is kind of a complicated deck. So, kudos to them. There goes a Meat Hook Massacre for 6. Harass the whole board, but he gets his cats back. I lose a whole bunch of life. They gain a whole bunch of life. We draw land. We have no gas. They have 2 cats. We'll pass one turn. See what we draw. But we're dead. Third cat. We are more than dead. Barcode Troll is not going to save us here. No good game our opponent. And we'll concede. That was 2 matches with our rock deck. It didn't perform greatly against this deck, but this is kind of a hard counter to our deck. So we might want to think about putting in some more sideboard options for this. Maybe some more Grave Hate, so when the cat dies, we can exile it from their graveyard so it doesn't come back. That will completely derail their strategy. So we'll consider that. Next time, though, I've been Will from Magic the Friendly Tavern. Happy pack pulls, and as always, happy games.